In the city, people find things. You can't smoke there. You can't lean over there. You can't have your garbage can there. It has to be over here. Like an HOA thing. There's nothing like that out here. And I like it. I think everybody should, keep nicer places, but that's not my decision. I don't know their walk. I don't know their resources. They leave me alone. I'm going to reciprocate. I'm going to leave them alone. That's what it's like living out here. There is a mutual understood respect.
Oh, it is cold. Good morning from Mountainair, New Mexico. Gonna look a little rough. I'm sunburned. This is about 17 days into the trip, and I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because of my time in that hotel back there. I'll get to that later. But we're on the edge of a small mountain town in New Mexico. And why, Nick, are you on the edge of a small town in New Mexico? Well, I'll tell you all about it. I'm going to tell you what makes this place special and all the things about it that you might want to know. We're going to take an entire day to explore this place and meet the people who live here and see what life's all about. Mountainair. They call it that because of the crisp air here. Hear it? JK, that's fake wind noise. Down there is the Estancia Valley. It's a vast area right in the middle of New Mexico. We're about 75 scenic miles from Albuquerque. And tucked into a little pocket of the desert foothills is the town of Mountainair, population 884. A little slice of New Mexico, 6,500 feet above sea level. We are exactly in the middle of New Mexico. I mean, right in the middle. Look at that. Mountainair is on the northern edge of cowboys, farming, and oil land. Everything north of here is very liberal. Lots of wealthy liberal elites, drug users, welfare recipients, and all of the Native American pueblos. Coming up from the south, it's the last place in New Mexico that feels free. This place was booming in the 1950s. Well, booming for them. There were 1,500 people here back in 1950. That was back when this area was all pinto bean farmers. They called this the pinto bean capital of the world. There were pinto bean farms all over this valley, 40,000 acres of pinto beans. Everybody either worked in the fields or in the processing centers making pinto beans. Almost all of the rations for our soldiers in WW2 came from pinto beans right here in this valley. And now there's hardly any pinto beans left. But in the 50s, a dust bowl wiped out the bean fields, and they never recovered. Or maybe it was also from the nuclear testing that goes on at nearby White Sands, about an hour away. There's still a lot of pinto bean things around here, but it's been pretty quiet here for the last 60 years. The perfect type of place for people who want small town life and cheap living. The only place in town to get groceries, the only place in town to get vegetables. If they don't have it, you ain't getting it. They have a good selection, though, I have to say. Man. And the pinto beans. It's how they made their money here. It's how they got famous. It's like the quietest hardware store you ever been in. There's no Greyhound station here. This was put here for an old movie called My One and Only, starring Renee Zellweger. I hear that when she was in town, she was real genuine like. So they used to have a saloon in town. It's a dry town now, which sucks because look at the place. I mean, that is, if there's a my kind of place in this damn state, it's the Rosebud Saloon. And they haven't had drinks served there in a long time. The old Rosebud. I learned that the liquor license for that joint is $450K. The dude who ran the place got busted for selling drugs out of there. Uh-oh. It is a slow day in Mountainair. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe this is busy. It's charming in its own small town way. Oh, here comes the, is this the fire department? All right. The town laundromat. For fun, well, they have the Pinto Bean Fiesta every August, where they pick a Pinto Bean Queen, everyone. I know, right? Here's last year's Pinto Bean Queen. All right, it is cold up here. It's about 9 a.m. It's 36. With the brisk wind, they say it feels like 30. We're up here in the New Mexico highlands, in the desert. And man, is it cold, I have to say. Bright and chilly. So I'm going to talk to some folks here in downtown and get a day in the life of Mountainair, New Mexico right now. Why do you like living in a small town in the middle of New Mexico? Do you like living in a small town in the middle of New Mexico?
I do. I like the nature side of it. I like being able to see mountains because I've lived both in the city and in country, and I've adapted well to the country life. I like it.
Mm-hmm. But you lived in Maryland for a while.
Yes, I did live in Maryland for 11 years.
And you like it way better here than on the East Coast?
Absolutely.
So the peace, the quiet.
Yeah. I live, me and my boyfriend have our own little place, so we have a little bit of land and stuff like that, so it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to live here forever?
Actually, I'm trying to move to Albuquerque.
Okay.
I want to go back to the city just for the convenience of being close to everything because, Walmart is like an hour away, so it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. So we're in this is the town pharmacy / drugstore?
Yeah, this is the only pharmacy in Torrance County right now.
Okay.
A lovely lady named Casey West owns this place, and she's amazing. She serves all of Torrance County all by herself. She's the only worker, and I help her out with the fountain. Mm-hmm. I know work is very, very hard to find here, and I am very fortunate to have a job here because for a while it was the greenhouses, but that's like slowing down a lot. So yeah, most people have to go out of town to find a job.
Greenhouses mean growing marijuana?
Yes.
That's slowing down?
Yeah, cannabis cultivation. So I was working at a greenhouse over here, and yeah, they laid off a lot of people.
Why?
Just because they lost contracts and stuff like that. And it's it's hard. There's a lot of greenhouses, so it's the compete. that there was a bunch of stick figures sitting at the soda fountain.
In here?
Yes.
Oh, it's haunted in here too.
Yes.
Have you ever seen it?
So it's right down here,
Okay.
and
Oh,
that's the cellar.
so down there is a
And
cellar.
there is a light.
And down there is where the ghost stuff happens?
Yes.
That's where she saw it?
Yes.
She had to go down there for something,
Yes.
I guess, and saw a
Well,
man
we
or
saw
woman?
it. We saw it over there, but it was a man. But
Oh, you saw it like right here?
yeah, towards the end of the door, she thought somebody had gotten in through the back door.
Yeah.
And she was like, "I closed it. I don't understand."
Oh my gosh. So a lot of this town is haunted then.
Yes, it is. A lot of historic buildings, I would say.
I mean, it's like old New Mexico, right? There's probably been fist fights in here and people getting shot and, like
Yeah.
this just has history. You can sense it in the building. This is Ed and Julia. They're the whole reason that we came to Mountainair. They wrote me an email and said, "You should come here, Nick. You like to show what small towns are like. Let us show you what little Mountainair is all about." So we did. We had Ed's famous chicken tortilla soup, and then we talked. Talk to me about what you got going on out here. You 10 years ago, you decided to move to Mountainair, New Mexico.
Yeah, we were in Albuquerque, and I don't know, how can you put it? I mean, there was times in Albuquerque where I was afraid to go to the gas station a little bit. The traffic, the craziness, and the beginning of the real urbanization of the Northeast Heights up there is about the only way I could put it, is that it started to become a crowded mess. It was expensive. Anyway, we became like a doomsday prepper. We thought, well, maybe there could be a place out there, somewhere out here in New Mexico, where we could get away a little bit, have a little bit more peace, more quiet, and not have to pay, and just reduced our overhead. I mean, the overhead is the biggest deal. And so we started with a tiny house. We kept watching shows about how you can build these crazy little contraptions on a trailer. This is an old mobile home trailer, and we built this tiny house just in case we found a property we could develop.
Tell me what it's like here. I want to know your opinion on you're a Northern California guy, small town New Mexico. What are the pros and cons of living here?
The pros and cons. Well, the cons. Let's just go with the bad things, is that you're a little bit more isolated and things aren't as easy to get to. You're not going to have the access to all the different kinds of restaurants and the kind of services that you would have in a big city. You're also not going to have this horrible overhead, though, and that's the pro. Being able to be out here means that you can put a bank a little bit of money away and go see some of the world, instead of being economically stuck where you're at. When I grew up in the Bay Area, it was real. I mean, I had all this glorious stuff around me, and I couldn't afford a damn bit of it. Out here, it's not as glitzy, but I've been to some different places and seen some of the world now, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah?
I mean, and so we have such a low overhead that it doesn't look like anybody's going to come and take this place. It's ours. So that's a comfortable feeling. That's something you'd never feel in the Bay Area unless you're really independently wealthy. Not only to be able to pay your house off, but also to be able to pay the property taxes on a yearly basis to live there, and all the other things, which are just through the roof. New Mexico is pretty low overhead. You know, you can, with the exception of a brand new car, you pay about $50 a year on your registration. You know, if you live away from Albuquerque, not in Albuquerque, you can get your insurance rates down. It's just it's a great place to live when it comes to that kind of overhead. What would I have in the Bay Area now? Would I be a manager at some kind of auto parts store, right? Living in an apartment off of Foothill Boulevard in San Leandro or something? not a very luxurious life. I think this is more luxury, and you can't tell right now either. But this is a wooded property. This whole thing turns completely green canopy. It's like a park. I own a park, and when the spring comes in, these trees just completely get filled with foliage everywhere. And these are apricots. I've even made my own liquor out of these apricots. This is what you can't experience in the Bay Area anymore. They don't give you room. You're a credit card distance from your neighbor.
Yep.
Everybody's in your business. Everyone's looking at you. Out here, everyone's looking away from you. Not because they're being rude. They do it out of respect. When they walk down the street, they'll say hi. When you see them in the car, they'll wave to you. At the same time, they're not usually complaining and whining about something trivial. And I think that sometimes when some people that'll come out here, they're so used to the HOA type mentality, right? Everyone's got to be a certain way. I don't want my property values to drop because of my neighbor, and you're stuck in a catch-22 again. But out here, you're not, and it's really nice. You want to check out the tiny house?
Yeah, that was good, Ed. God, I wish all my interviews were that good. Jeez, I didn't even have to ask any good questions. Well, so like, there's a lot of this. Are these all going to be purchased? All these properties?
Oh, you're wondering about okay, here's how this all happened. Okay, you'd think people moved away because it was a shithole. No, they didn't move away because of that. They moved away because there was 2 dust bowls, and it killed the pinto bean industry, number one.
Right.
And then on top of that, you started using diesel electric engines on the railroad instead of steam engines.
So that railroad didn't come through here.
No, it's one of the largest routes ever. It's just they usually get coal and water in town, so you had a huge railroad presence here.
They didn't need to stop here anymore.
So between the pinto bean being the pinto bean capital of the world and the railroad with the steam engines and the and the coal supplying that all went through here. When that all went away, this town went from 10,000 people or so to what it is now, which is 1,000 in the middle of summer. Mm-hmm. Probably around 600 to 800 in the winter.
Talk about small town life. Look at this. About a month ago, a dirt bike went missing, and they told everyone, call 911 if you see it. Call 911? Where I'm from, you call 911 when your neighbor gets shot, and they don't even come. 911. Now, most small towns have some small town drama, and this place is no different. Unsolved Mysteries, they featured a complicated thriller that featured a cop that died here. He had only been patrolling the streets here for about 8 weeks, and he was found shot to death in town. People think he was murdered, and it involved talk about drug cartels, and it's just a big mess. And the police station / courtroom. So you get booked, and then right next door is the courtroom. That is some small town stuff right there.
And court is on Wednesdays only, 1 to 3.
And this is where the judge parks, right here. Okay, the judge's parking spot. You definitely don't want to park in his spot, not in a small town like this. So Mountainair has a volunteer fire department, and they have a police department, which is right here. And for the first time in 3 years, they have 2 police officers here. The police chief was just hired 3 months before we got here. He doesn't actually live in Mountainair. They say you don't want to be a police officer in the same small town that you live in. That is not very good. That doesn't go over very well. But his name's Paul Lucero. He's a cool guy. We sat down and we talked to him about what it's like to be a police chief in a small town in the middle. And in fact, there he is right there. Can you turn around and let's get him on camera? There he is. Officer Paul Lucero driving by, enforcing the law out here. And here he comes. Uh-oh, are we parked in the wrong spot? Oh, we just talked to him about an hour ago, and here he is pulling up again. We are in the police. Can you show the police parking only? It's all right. Uh-oh. Paul, we're getting a ticket. Oh, God. I'm falling down. We're getting a ticket for parking and the police. Anyways, let's go to the interview with Paul that we did earlier in the Haunted Mansion. I'm sorry, the Haunted Hotel.
It is kind of a mansion.
All right, here's the police chief. Paul Lucero just arrived on scene. Let's talk to him. So you're new on the scene here in Mountainair since November.
November 1st.
What's your impression of Mountainair when you got here? Small town, smack dab in the middle of New Mexico.
Well, originally, I had been here before, but originally when the first time I came here, I just couldn't believe how beautiful the surrounding area is. It's just right in beautiful setting where it's at. So that's the thing that impressed me right away when I first came here. Mm-hmm. But it's a beautiful area. And it's interesting because it still has the old motif, and so I thought that was pretty neat. Just see the old town that's still, a lot of these towns in New Mexico where they've actually redeveloped it and they've knocked down all the old buildings. Mm-hmm. But here, a lot of them have been preserved, which is neat to see.
What's a day like on duty in a small town in New Mexico?
Well, it's just, it's pretty, most of the time it's pretty calm. And you're going to get things once in a while. Like you might get a few neighbor disputes, or you might get a, animal call, or, you get some petty larceny once in a while. But for the most part, it's pretty peaceful.
I like to ask people what is good about a small town.
What I like about a small town is everybody knows each other. And for the most part, they're real friendly. I could drive down the street in my unit and everybody waves at you. And, that's, you don't see that in the big city, right? People don't talk to each other, they don't wave at each other. Small towns, they do.
What's your take on this place?
I like it. I think it's a nice little community. I think that it has potential to grow. This area is going to grow, and I can see that because it's a nice little place. They got perfect weather. The climate's really nice. The elevation's a little bit high. It's like 6,500 feet. So you get a little bit of snow, but so far what I'm seeing, it's not a lot of snow, but you do get it. So you have all 4 seasons here. So I think it's a big draw for a lot of people who are looking for a nice, quiet place to retire. So I think this area is a draw because they want to get away from the big city, the hustle and bustle, and they might have lived there their entire life and they want to come and do something different. And this is a perfect place for them to kind of retire and slow down.
If there's one part of crime that's gone up, that's the biggest concern for you out here, what do you think it would be?
The only thing I can say is that we get people sometimes that do a little bit of squatting on these homes that are abandoned. That's probably the biggest issue we have right now. But other than that, it's really not bad. Like I said, you have your occasional larceny, and that's going to be just about anywhere you go.
Look at that football field. It's big. But only a small number of kids go here. This is our high school. I hear that only 10 kids a year graduate from here, and most of them can read. And they play 6-man football. I've never heard of this before. 6-man football. That's how small the schools are up here. And I think they're pretty good. They went 4-0 in their league this year. Good for them. Went undefeated in the league. And they beat their rival 88-34. My God! Go Mustangs! Some Cowboys. So this is what they're talking about. There's not a lot of homeless people around here because they live in these old abandoned houses out here. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of opportunity, though. I'm telling you. Kind of. The Alpine Alley Cafe, one of only 3 places in town to get breakfast and coffee. I think. There's not many places. That's all I know. Jobs-wise, ain't much, but they're all very excited in town because they're opening up a bunch of solar and wind farms on the edge of the valley. Some of the people who work on those projects live right here in town. And I'm sure you're all wondering about the cost to live here. You're thinking, this looks great, Nick. I can't wait to get out of my overpriced mortgage and away from all the drama. This place is calling my name. Well, I'm going to make your day. Now, I've kind of showed you what a typical neighborhood looks like here. Actually, this whole place looks like this. Lots of space and room to grow. Huge lots. Could use a little watering, but it costs about $150K for a house here, supposedly, but I think that's high. I looked on Zillow and I saw houses for way less than that. This house right here was listed at $29,000. You probably have that in your checking account right now. Think of all the things you could do to make that your own. Real estate prices in this part of New Mexico are really low because it's isolated. There really aren't a lot of jobs around, and private schools are far away. But if this looks good to you and you need a realtor, I know agents all over New Mexico. I could probably even find you one right here. Kim found a cat in the road. We want to take it home, but there's no way that's going to happen. So we're just trying to help him get out of the road. Go on, kitty. Come on, get. So this is just a regular little neighborhood. It's almost sunset here in rural New Mexico. And we're hoping for a good, beautiful sunset today. It should be marvelous. And I can say the air is crisp and clean. All right, so riding around with, introduce yourself, Peter.
My name is Peter Nieto, and I'm the mayor of Mountainair, New Mexico.
What's it like out here?
I love it. I love Mountainair. I did move away for a while to Seattle back in 2013. Lasted about 6 months because I miss Mountainair so much. Mountainair is a great little town. What makes it so unique is its small town charm, but then you are super close to the city. And so we're about an hour and 15 minutes away from the city. So you can go up to Albuquerque, but then at night you come back to your home away from home, you know, your little town, and it's perfect.
So what makes people decide to come back home? Why did you decide to come back here? Because I hear that a lot from people who leave their small town. They're 18, they can't wait to leave, and then they end up coming back. They want to raise their family there. Sometimes they just, family reasons, they have to move home. But a lot of people come back to their small town. Why is that?
I believe that it just has to do with the feeling of home. I mean, when you grow up somewhere and it's pretty much all you know, when you move away, things are so different. Cities are much different. And although there's benefits to the city, although you are able to, go to Walmart at, 10 o'clock at night or whatever you want to do, it's much different here. Most everything is closed by 5 o'clock usually. Some restaurants are open a little bit later, but most everything's closed. But just that small town charm, just that feeling of home. That's what I missed when I moved to Seattle, was that feeling of home. I would say that we still do have issues like the big towns, the big cities. We're not exempt from theft. We're not exempt from all that stuff. Now, granted, absolutely there are times when, big cities have murders and all this stuff that, a small towns hardly experience once a decade or once every two decades or whatnot. What I think Mountainair and other small communities embrace is just the feeling of community. And so you're right, you do wake up every day and you do know your neighbors. You probably went to school with them. You probably went there maybe with their kids or whatnot. And so just that small town feel. I think when you move to the city, you don't have that sense of community. I mean, when you go to the city, you're living in a house, you don't know your neighbors from two houses down. And so I think that's the major difference, is just that feeling of community. But to say that we're exempt from problems is I think, not even close. We definitely experience our problems. A lot of the problems that we face, comes to finances. Mountainair, like any other small town, is not rich by any means. We have a lot of dependence on tourism. and people coming into town, stopping at our gas stations, stopping at our national parks, things like that. And so I definitely agree with the boredom part. I mean, you know, it is something that if you are one of those people that like to go out a lot, you know, being in a small town is kind of hard. But again, you know, there are people that do go out to do all that stuff and then come back home and they get away from the city and they don't have to worry about the major auto thefts that are going on in Albuquerque, the major, you know, murders and things that happen in a big city. They get to come home to Mountainair and enjoy their life. So
The cost of living out here has got to be a big draw for why people are coming out here, right? I mean,
definitely. The issue right now that we're having is actually there's not enough homes for people that want to move out here. That's actually one of the calls that I get frequently is, do you know of any rental places? Do you know of any places that, you know, people are selling? And there's actually not a lot right now.
there's a shortage in Mountainair.
There's a shortage in Mountainair. And so, you know, definitely the cost of living is good. You know, houses go for less than they would in Albuquerque and such.
Yeah.
Our water, our gas, our electric utilities are much cheaper than they are in the big city. So yeah, the cost of living is a huge thing out here in
So
Mountainair.
there's that. I would not think that in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, there would be a housing shortage, right?
Well,
I mean, it doesn't seem like it would.
I mean, I could definitely see your point, although there are no new houses going up. So when you look at that, you know, if we were to have people building houses, I think they would sell. It's so funny because I just had a meeting with AT&T a few weeks ago, and they told us that they expect Mountainair to actually grow within the next couple of years, within the next decade.
So that house was what did you say it was?
I'm going to say between 130 and 150, I believe.
Okay.
And so it's a very nice house.
And then you got chickens that are, you could have chickens and
Yep.
they could roam free.
Yep.
Why does New Mexico have such a bad rap? You know, bad reputation. It's mostly poverty, education, drugs.
Mhm.
Like, is that a problem that the state can solve?
Well, I think that's a very hard question to answer. But I do believe that some of those things that you mentioned are intertwined. I do think that with better jobs comes, you know, possibly less drugs, things like that. You know, better education is obviously better jobs as well. So I think a lot of those are kind of intertwined with each other. I wish that we can solve all of them. Is that a possibility? Who knows? It's going to take a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they say that like this education system, but the state like reaps in billions on pot, right?
Mhm.
Like, why isn't any of that going to schools?
Oh, it is. I mean, there's a lot
Okay.
more
All
money
right.
going to schools and things. You know, but a lot of money that we get right now is federally funded as well. And with all the federal cuts, who knows what that's going to do to a small town like Mountainair. It can actually be very devastating, and we're actually very worried about that. We've been hearing rumors that the headquarters of the national park is going to close. You know, obviously federal funding would have a major impact on the schools.
Okay, yeah. So you guys are worried that some of these cuts are going to hurt your little town.
Yep, very much so. It's definitely a top concern of mine.
Okay, we are out here on the edge of town in Mountainair doing another UFO tour at Saturn or Venus. And we're gonna try to see, this is also a hotbed for activity for UFOs. And so we're just hanging out, looking around, trying to see if we can see anything. It is pitch dark, you can't even see. That's Albuquerque in the distance, about an hour away. There we go, the pharmacy's open now. We got a skeleton in the pharmacy. Uh-oh. All right, Casey, you are the only pharmacist in town.
Yeah, in the county.
In the county? How did you end up in Mountainair?
I came down here as a student. Did a rural rotation and decided I liked this place. And so my preceptor had to move because his wife was doing a residency in medicine. And he offered to sell the pharmacy to me. And didn't take long to think about that. And then that was in 98. And then in 2000, a business partner and I bought the rest of the building. And then in 2012, I bought her out.
Okay.
Yep, and here I am.
You said it was a no-brainer. What is it about Mountainair that you were like, this is my home?
Oh, I just liked the community here is just so diverse, so welcoming, just fun people, really good people here, down to earth.
How'd you end up in Mountainair? It's such a small little town. I always like to know like how somebody ended up here from...
Well, we used to live in a smaller town. Well, not actually sure what the population density of that town is, but have you ever heard of a place called Daddle?
No.
It's, I want to say it's like an hour southeast, that might be wrong, of Sequoia, but it's a very small ranching community. The town itself is a post office and a gas station slash convenience store slash motel, but most of that area is just a bunch of ranchers who own like large pieces of land, and then eventually sold the place and just moved up here. It's nice and quiet.
So what do you like about living here? What's it like here?
It's very quiet. It's kind of out of the way for the most part. People leave you alone. Nice to just have a little independence. Sometimes it's a little difficult if you need like larger things to get, to the city and stuff, but actually the city is only like an hour and a half away, so it's just nice to kind of be away from large areas of massive congestion. I mean, it's not for everybody, but some people like it.
Do you think you're gonna live here the rest of your life?
I don't imagine so.
Why do you think you're gonna move on one day?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. Just nice to just keep the possibilities open.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really commit myself to one thing or the other.
I'm curious to know, why do most people that you know, that you've met, why do they wind up moving here in the middle of New Mexico?
In the very middle of New Mexico. Well, we were asked when we first got here what we were running from or what were we running to. They said, because everyone here is either running away for something or running to something. And that may be true. I think we were running away from crime and city and a lack of freedoms. We kind of wanted to see what it would be like if we could get off grid or build a tiny house or just have some more options that were outside of the box. And so I really love it for that reason. The cost of living, the fact that we could pay for our house in a few years feels way better than working all day to be in a house that you're never in, that you still have to pay for 20 years. Mountainair
it's grown on you.
Mountainair has grown on me, and when I was younger, say if I was a teenager in my 20s, I don't know that I could live in a town that was this small. But as an adult, I really enjoy it. I feel safe. There's no homeless people. There's no one begging from me. Sure, every town, even small ones, have, some random petty crimes and things, but it feels safe. And the property values. In Albuquerque, I still had 23 years of payments to go, and here we were able to pay off our house in 3 years with $165 property taxes annually. So it's worth it.
Usually some people think this is still a corner where they can go and kick back.
Do whatever they want to do. I know there's a lot of abandoned houses around here. Are they gonna? Are those gonna get?
No, a guy's going to be refixing that one up.
Okay.
He's actually a gardener for the governor's mansion up in Santa Fe.
Oh wow!
He lives in Moriarty, and he's
The guy that owns that house is the gardener for the governor of New Mexico.
yeah.
Oh, I heard she's not well liked, by the way.
She
Yeah, I mean the reason I'm asking is because New Mexico ranks very poorly on all the metrics, education, poverty, drugs, and a lot of people blame her for that. Now I don't know anything about it.
okay. Well, but which one would you like me to address first?
I don't know. That was a lot. I know. you came out here to show me something.
I'll show it to
I
you
got
real
political
quick.
on you.
I don't know if you. That's fine. I don't know if you can tell, but this is what's known as a railroad shanty. This is a shanty house built in the 1930s. It actually housed a full family out of this thing. It has dirt floors in it. It used to have some cabinets. I used to have a wood stove over in this corner. I'd let you in, but I've got so much crap in there right now, it doesn't really matter.
So the railroad, that was a big reason why.
This was built from all the people that hung out at the edge of the train, hobos and other people, and so they managed to garner a bunch of material somehow.
Oh, they built this themselves as a place to hide out until the train came by.
And then somebody probably built this up to sell things to all the hobos that were coming through this area. This was a railroad shanty, and then somebody decided to stay here, and they planted a whole orchard of apricot trees. There's only 3 left. This one right here.
So this was a little hobo village.
And then turned into a homestead after the Great Depression, because it had I think it had like 6 apricot trees over there, and there was one right there. But this was originally, I'm pretty damn sure by the construction methods used and the materials used, this is all leftover crate wood from the railroad. Crate wood. It wasn't even a Sears Roebuck. I think that house, the one that they moved over, that was the second bunkhouse of the railroad, the one I live in, I think it was a Sears Roebuck house, 1906 Sears Roebuck house. So it's been challenging. But
hey man, everyone's got to have a goal and a project, right?
Yeah. So Nick, has anybody talked to you about what happened with the marijuana grow operation?
No.
Well, and I'm not trying to get political, but about January 23rd, 3 days after the inauguration, they stormed the pot grow operation and found out, lo and behold, that it was a Chinese-run operation, and they had almost 20 people. I think it was 18, 19 Chinese people that they were holding their IDs and not letting them go anywhere. It was slavery in America, 15 miles away from where I live. People were, and they would sit there and they'd take them in a bus and then take them to Estancia where they lived in some rental place. Right?
I did not know that at all. That was going on right up here.
Nobody in this town knew that there was actually a slave situation. And, I would get mean to the Native American that actually facilitated this whole thing. I'm sure that when he goes back and faces justice within the reservation, his punishment's going to be far worse. He's lucky to be able to survive that, right? Because, that's a big one. What kind of shame he brought I think he was Navajo. So if he's Navajo, the shame would be brought to that tribe, right? So it's way above that human slavery was happening in America 15 miles away from where I live. Now that fired me up. As a libertarian, right, as in general, that is about the worst thing you could do. Bring slavery into the middle of New Mexico? If you can't escape what's going on in the middle of New Mexico, where the heck do you go next, right?
And I'm having chili with green chili.
Chili with green chili.
It's so good. It has a nice little kick.
Look at that.
Did you know New Mexico has the second highest divorce rate in America?
Well, that doesn't surprise me, Mappy. Out in Mountainair, there's just not a lot to do. Nothing romantic like to take your honey out to. I think we saw a lot of knot stimulation when we were in this state.
Americans need to have more kids, or our enemies will run us over. One day, India and Africa are going to overpopulate the entire world. Then where are we going to get our new iPhones?
China makes our iPhones, Mappy. Little Chinese kids. Younger than you. This is where we're staying at the Grand Schaefer Historic Haunted Hotel. That's it. This is where all the action happens. Oh, don't worry, I'm not. Is anybody else staying here tonight?
I think everybody is gone.
Oh, we're here alone. Okay. Now the haunted part. The part I'm sure you've been waiting for. So we stayed at the Schaefer Hotel. It's very haunted and historic. That's Ed. He's the owner of the hotel. About a dozen years ago, he shelled out a wad of cash and bought the place and fixed it up, and it reopened. He left all the ghosts in their places and everything. And you love Mountainair, don't you?
Oh, I love Mountainair. I've been all over the country. I've lived all over the place, and this is my happy place. Mountainair suits me to a T. And what I do is I keep buying buildings, old buildings. I clean them up, I fix them up, and then sometimes I sell them, sometimes I rent them, sometimes all I do is look at them. And we were working on houses today. Just cleaning up garbage and cleaning up weeds, and it's one little bit at a time. Pretty soon the place is all cleaned up and kind of nice.
Do you want to emphasize as a draw the paranormal stuff here, or do you want to de-emphasize that?
There's weird things going on here, and if you want to find out about them, there's things online. Look up Schaefer Hotel Paranormal, and there's plenty to read. If you really want to find out, come on, book a room down here, and you can find out for yourself. You can spend the night and explore till your heart's content. We get a lot of folks that come here just for that. And if you're interested, come on out and check it out.
First night was really hard to sleep. It was just so quiet. We were the only ones in there, and you could hear every little creak in this old building. You open your eyes, and you hope there isn't some dead Indian or cowboy or little girl standing over you. So I got up and explored. Okay, so we're in the lobby of the Schaefer Hotel. We're the only people here. And this is our second night, and it's very intimidating. So there's probably, 30 rooms here. We're the only two people here. This is an area up here that apparently a lot of stuff happens right here. A lot of people get really kind of weirded out. They think that maybe this room here, some stuff has happened because everybody says they feel really weird right here. A lot of people have died in this hotel. And they've had ghost hunter shows that have come. And they've seen stuff and heard stuff, and it's actually pretty scary right now. Oh my God. I have not gone down this hallway yet. There's no reason to go down this hallway. But people say that they've seen a little girl. There's kids that have played with a little girl who a lot of people have seen. And There's a dead cowboy that people have seen. And it's really super creepy in here. I think we've stayed in a lot of haunted places before. That's some artwork from the... Okay, I'm getting kind of... Holy crap, this is really scary. So this is the really super scary room. Everybody says room 16. A lot of stuff has happened here, a lot of scary stuff. Yeah, it's locked. I'm glad it's locked. The guy that runs the place, Ed, locked some of the doors. He didn't really say why. So this is pretty much it. I am doing this at night, and I don't think that door was open. Is this door open? Oh God. I don't even know what's going on in here. So that's pretty much the tour of the scary hotel. If anything kind of happens tonight, I will record it. But it's super creepy in here. We're the only people in here. The place is like 100 years old. This is really weird. I'm trying to see if any of these rooms are open. I probably shouldn't be. Oh God. Oh God, 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 oh God. Oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not opening anymore. Going back to my room. There you go, YouTube. I'm doing it for you guys. Okay, one more room. Oh, please nothing, please nothing, please nothing. God. Okay, that's it. Show's over. Mountainair. The closer you are to the desert, the further you are from idiots. Good enough is good enough when adding more doesn't really get you more. This might not be the most charming town we've ever visited. These people love it here. So what do I know? What advice would you give people? I know that's kind of on the spot.
Yeah, as in...
Isn't lessons
what? I mean,
you've learned
like
in life?
Huge question.
I know. Just lessons you've learned in life. And if you've learned anything being out here in New Mexico perspective, is there any kind of advice that you would give?
Keep the attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for even the small things. I love looking at the skies, and I'm grateful for my eyesight, that I can enjoy it, the colors, and listening to music. I'm grateful for my ears. And I just keep finding things that you can be grateful for, and it really helps keep a perspective. Yeah.